out, then out of the, this part of the kidney is called hilus, where everything goes in and out. One of the things that goes out is the ureter. The ureter goes down into the urinary bladder. Out of the urinary bladder at the bottom comes urethra. So ureter comes, there's two of them coming from the kidneys. After that, there's only a single urethra that's going to drain the urine out into the environment. So, on this part, it's kind of relatively simple. You can see the same thing here. Kidneys and the renal artery and vein and ureters going down into the urinary bladder, which goes sort of like this, and then ureter goes out. Okay. This is the kidney. The kidney, okay, I'm not gonna ask you again for the, adrenal gland, it's on top of the kidney. On the outside is a capsule. Renal capsule is on the outside of the kidney, and then when you look on the inside of the kidney, there are like two layers. This is the renal cortex, and then inside of it is a renal medulla. Renal medulla is made of several different renal pyramids, which are containing the loops of Henle. The actual Bowman's capsules, the beginnings of the nephrons are in the cortex, and then the tubules that are going deeper into the medulla. The collecting tubules of the nephron are all, this white thing here. They're going to go into these renal papillae. Each one of the pyramids has its own papilla, and those papilla then fuse, open up into this bigger open area, which is called the renal pelvis, which is really just a hole that is collecting the urine. Urine is slowly draining out of all of these collecting tubules, and it's going to fill the renal pelvis, and from there it's going to go into the ureter, and from the ureter it's going to go into the urinary bladder. Now, urinary bladder gets, fuller and fuller, right? And at that point, there's a sphincter on the bottom, right? The sphincter is closed, not allowing the urine to go into the urethra. You don't want to be walking around peeing all the time, right? So you're going to wait until the urinary bladder is full. So there's going to be a sphincter, a round circular muscle, and there's an external and an internal. There are two sphincters right underneath that are controlling the urine staying inside of the urinary bladder and then not just leaking into the urethra. Internal is made of smooth muscle and is not under conscious control. External is made of skeletal muscle and is under conscious control. This is what you're squeezing where you're looking for the bathroom because you need to run, right? So you can, to some extent hold it. So as the urinary bladder is getting filled with more and more liquid, there's more and more pressure that that liquid is exerting onto the wall. And so one place to go, one place to release when, urethra is closed off is to go back up into the ureters. But that's not going to happen. And the way it's prevented from happening is that there is no valve. We call it a valve. There's really no valve. There's no flap inside the ureter. But the way ureter is entering the urinary bladder is that as urinary bladder expands, the wall of the urinary bladder is going to make a kink in the ureter, right? So ureter is coming from the bottom. When it's empty, no problem. We seep into. When the urinary bladder is very, very full, it's going to make a kink. And so there's not going to be any liquid going through it because that opening of the ureter into the ureter is going to be closed. This is a geometric type of valve. So there's no structure inside of it. It's just the geometry of that tube and that big sac. The way they're changing the angle is going to make a kink in that hose, and so there's no way for the urine to go backwards, back into the kidneys. Do you all remember what type of epithelium is lining the ureters and the urinary bladder? Anybody remembers? One of those special, unusual epithelium. It's transitional epithelium. What does that mean? That means when the urinary bladder is full, there's going to be several layers, like 9, 8, 9, 10 layers of cells. As the liquid is gradually dripping in, it's going to be exerting pressure onto the walls. Those walls are going to be stretching. What does it mean for those walls to stretch is that those cells are going to start moving on top of each other, and instead of 10 layers, you're going to have 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4. You're already looking for the bathroom. 3, you're running to the bathroom. 2, you're essentially peeing in a pants. So it is going to squeeze. It's going to stretch the wall of the urinary bladder, and that transitional epithelium is going to accommodate that by cells moving on top of each other, and so you can, theoretically in the lab you can make it a one cell layer. And then when you start peeing, those cells are starting to go back on top of each other and reconstituting those 8 or 9 or 10 layers again, and then the urinary bladder is empty. We have slides here of the mammary bladder. I don't think they made a special effort to make it empty or full. The next door, the 169, has slides. This one is full, this one is empty. Don't worry, this is just transitional epithelium of a urinary bladder. They probably didn't care much. Okay, so let's see on this model. So this is a model of the whole kidney, the same as this. So you can see those kind of major parts. This is just one pyramid. So this is the cortex here. This is medulla here. You can see the Bowman's capsules there. The glomerula there. That's the beginning of each nephron. We're going to talk about it more in the lecture. There are arteries and veins here, and capillaries, and then there are loops of Henle. These are kind of pin loops going down deep, and then the big thick one is the collecting duct. We're going to talk about all of that in the lecture about how it all works. It's complicated. And then here, this is the glomerulus. You are going to see an artery, arterial, efferent arterial going in, breaking into a capillary bed, which is called glomerulus, and then going out by the efferent arteriole. So this is a portal system. Remember last time I talked about portal systems. This is one of the portal systems. So the arterial blood breaks into glomerulus, which is the first capillary bed. Then comes out a single vessel, a single arteriole, which then opens up into another capillary bed. These are all these capillaries that are around the tubules of the nephron. So we're going to talk about this much more in the lecture. So grab these models, make sure that you know them. There's 2 slides, make sure you know them and can recognize the kidney and the urinary bladder.